this theater. I really do. This is kind of like my dream. This is the theater that I love to play in. And I love this place. So much community. Antoine was talking about offering me juice or whatever. How wonderful it is. Last week, Paula and I, that's my wife Paula, she's my wife, but she's primarily my videographer. Well, we went to this place. Horrible experience with this thing, okay? Nice enough people, I guess. But the problem was show business. And again, there's nothing wrong with show business. And if you're working in show business to make a buck, you got to work in show business. But it was just like, you know, they break their word, and it was in a bigger room. I asked for a microphone, and it had a broken microphone stand, and they just said, well, live with it, you know. Not that I couldn't adapt. It's not like I'm a prima donna, but to be treated that way, that's show business, you know. Mm-hmm. You're an asshole, basically. Mm-hmm. So I wondered, you know, the Rick blog, let me tell you about the Rick blog. The Rick blog is basically, it took me a long time in my life to come to this realization. I always had a fight in my life because it's like earlier in the show, it's like I was embarrassed. It's like, why'd you come here? Well, I came to Chicago for a law school. So I'm a lawyer. I didn't become a lawyer until 25 years after I graduated from law school. I need to clear my head a little bit, take a break. But I passed the bar the first time I sat for it. The first legal job that I had, I had to work on a case where we were representing the insurance company that represented a for-profit blood bank that had distributed AIDS-tainted blood, and people had died. So there were all these wrongful death cases. So that was actually, that wasn't, you know, people usually say, oh, it was a trip to hell when they talk about how they suffer. That was a trip to hell with me because it was like, oh, you know, I'm evil now. You know, here I am with all the other devils, you know, except I didn't do it. So then I got bounced from that, and I wanted to be on the side of the angels, so I went to the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission, and I was a litigator there to like discipline attorneys when they did something against their law license. Of course, that place was bullshit too. Because I was representing a woman, she didn't do anything wrong, but she was a schizophrenic. And she had showed up at court, not representing anybody. She owned a property or something, and she was a party to a case. And she was just doing all this crazy shit. So we had to prove that she shouldn't have a law license. She didn't have the capacity to practice law. It was a very sad case. And my boss there says to me, he reviews everything, right? And he said to me, make her do the right thing. She's sick. She's a schizophrenic. You mean make her do the right thing? Do the right thing! You stop being crazy now! Shame on you for having a chemical imbalance! Shame on you for being a human being and having a problem! You know, and that's when I realized I was in hell at the other place, and I said, oh, I'm with Republicans. You know? So that was that experience. Oh, before that, I was at the Gang Crime Prevention Center, where there was a line in a speech. Their idea of gang crime prevention is that they had a room out in Rockford where occasionally they gave parties for people who lived in the neighborhood. Every once in a while, people would walk in and say, it's dangerous, there's gangs around here. Oh, we're listening, thank you. And that was the Illinois Attorney General's office. They wanted me to go to Springfield as a lobbyist, and they wanted me to lobby for, get this, if a parent has a child who is truant, missing school 3 times, they want the parents to be fined $500, and then a subsequent $500 every time the person was missed school again. So this was a war against poor people, right? Because these poor people, they have all these problems. So I went into the Assistant Attorney General and I said, did you ever think that maybe one thing that we could do for this problem is like improve the schools so they wanted to go there? Or if you wanted to help the gang crime problem, do you think maybe there should be some jobs? Real jobs? Some real opportunity? Instead of creating this desperate situation? Now certainly it's a really complicated problem and that's not the whole thing. But the point that I want to make is that these people didn't take responsibility for anything. Anything that was wrong, they wanted to punish somebody else. So, when I say I'm the law school, I'm a lawyer, it's not like, I'm on the cover of the Chicago Daily Law Bulletin as one of the great barristers of Chicago. I'm basically a lawyer who couldn't hold a job. So then, after all that, I said, you know what? I'm going to bring improv to lawyers. Because I loved improvisation, and as Antoine was saying, Second City is a great thing. And I really studied with the founders, like Paul Sills, the first director of Second City. I studied with the greats, I got the pure stuff. It wasn't cut at all. It was the pure. It was primo improv training. So I said, well, I'm going to teach this to lawyers. And so I did it for some bar associations, and I did it for some law schools. And here was the problem. They desperately need it, because surprisingly you would think, well, if somebody's a lawyer, they're a good communicator. Not really, no. So, but then I wound up at UIC. So now I'm at UIC, which is great, except that I went to the dentist, and just a couple of months ago, I needed a crown. Not because I think I'm a king, but you might think that anybody who has the balls to want to get up and talk to people like this for an hour, you got to have a little bit of a screwbus, It's like, who gives a shit? Who would want to listen to you? I don't want to listen to me, but I'm trying to get something going here. That's why I listen to me. So I go to the dentist and they say, well, you're going to have to pay the whole thing. You don't get a copay because the state of Illinois hasn't paid on your health insurance since March of 2016. Sure. And this is because Rauner, and they always say, well, it's both sides' fault. It's both sides' fault, It's both. No other governor ever had a problem with and the Democrats are conservatives, for Christ's sake. I mean, no, it's both sides' fault. It's not both sides' fault. And I'll tell you what Rauner's doing. He doesn't want a budget. Nobody wrote this. I don't have any backing. Somebody said, it's fake news. It's not fake news. It's my opinion. It's my insight. Out of my wisdom of being such an advanced improviser, a lawyer, and a college professor. That's what it is. It's my credential. When I say something, it's important. Listen to me. Anyway, in my opinion, Rauner doesn't want a budget. He has no intention. He doesn't want to pay the insurance bills. He got the Republicans in Congress. They had as part of that healthcare bill. The healthcare bill. The die in the street. That's what they should call it. The America Dies in the Street Act. But this is that healthcare bill. One of the things that they have in the act is that they don't want major employers to have to provide health insurance anymore. Which is really, I always had problems with jobs, and I'm starting to think I was really right. What the fuck, you get out of a job? I go to the fucking place because I want to go to the dentist. You think I'd go over? I'd be doing this all the time. Why would I want to fuck around with teaching professional I like them, but not that much. All right, so I'm glad there's a few laughs, because the Rick blog is actually, at a late date, I realized, at a late date in my life, because I'm 115 years old. But at a late point in my life, it was laid out to me, to myself, I did it, that I didn't have to decide between all the things that I am. So there's a part of me that is a lawyer. I'm kind of analytical. And there's a part of me that's a comedian. And there's a part of me that's a teacher. You know, and there's a part of me that likes movies. And there's a part of me that's interested in politics. And there's a part of me that's philosophical. And I figured I'm going to put it all on my blog. And my signature on the blog is Copyright Richard Thomas 2017. And a lot of times on my podcast, because I have a podcast too, I'll say Copyright Richard Thomas 2017, Citizen and Human. So artists don't usually say, well, this is what I'd like you to take away from my painting. And this is what, you know, I'm trying to think of a painting. Picasso, something. Anyway, a brilliant improviser. I had the greatest training. I can access anything in my brain, like this, like that. So, no, but this is my whole point of this. I have a very simple point with this thing. This is what I think everybody should do. Be like Mike, or be like Rick. Okay, I'm going to do a few things from the Rick blog. I'm surprised I got some laughs. I didn't think, because today I was a very serious friend of mine, very philosophical and serious friend of mine. Catherine Griffin, she's a comedian.
Yeah.
She went over the line. It was a bad joke. I don't listen to her. I don't know if she's a good comedian. Who gives a fuck? Why take her seriously? She's a comedian. She went over the line. Make a big fucking deal. Especially lampooning that piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about poor taste? How about the life of Donald Trump? That's a sick joke. All right. I'd like to. I can't believe that such a low-life piece of garbage. Of course, you might sense that I was never leaning towards voting for it. But I was watching, and they would say, "Oh, well, you know, you watch MSNBC, which is like, you know, now it's the Hitler Youth. It's now MSNBC. Oh yeah, they're really progressive." It wasn't mediated by anybody else. You know, they showed all of his rallies like they were. You know, it was a miniseries. I mean, you couldn't turn on the TV and avoid seeing Trump, like, inciting violence in some rural area, you know. I mean, and I was watching once, and I couldn't stand him from the beginning. But they say he's stupid, but he very cleverly went just to the line, but didn't actually incite violence. And a woman, a 60-year-old woman in an oxygen machine got punched out. And I saw that, and I said to myself, even before then, I started to really pay attention and make the argument. I said, this guy's a fucking Nazi.
Yeah.
And that is what he is. And it's no hyperbole, it's no exaggeration, and I think everybody knows that now, or everybody here does. But he's a fucking Nazi, and I'll tell you something, that's exactly what he's doing to the country. So, on that light note, I'm actually, you know though, by the way, the thing about light notes is, and this is something that we forget about our thing and our tradition. I'm what the hell, I'm being very real with you now. Paul Sills, the great first director of Second City, came to see a show that I did in New York back in the 80s called The Rick Show. And he really liked it. And he told me, this is the greatest evening of theater since Lenny Bruce. So, Lenny Bruce is part of the tradition that we come out of. And it's about funny, sure. There's a lot of funny. But the funny is a byproduct. What it's really about is truth. And what is truth? You know, it's not like, well, I saw the Rip blog live on stage, and I heard the truth. You know, I'm not speaking from behind a burning bush up here. You know, but it's one's personal truth. So the thing is that when you get on stage, I don't care if you're acting a scene. I don't care if you're acting a scene in a commercial. I don't care if you're up like this when I'm really stating what I think about things. Whenever you're up on stage, what you want to do is you want to deliver the goods. You want to deliver who you are and what you believe in. Because that's freedom. It's important. That's democracy. That's what we have a right to do. Not only a right, but a responsibility to do. Mm-hmm. And this is what these bastards want to take away from us. And this is really nothing new. It's nothing new at all. But they just got further and did more. But there's always been fascists in America. You know. But I want to just read this, because I wrote this. I was going to say I typed this out. I typed it out this afternoon. I do my own typing. Paul is my videographer, but I do my own typing. But this is called The Situation. I just want to read it, because I don't know. This just came out of me from I don't know where. And the same type of thing happened in the measurable earlier. No, okay. The situation. This is serious, so it's bad, because that joke lays really flat, so that's good. We can go right into this. The situation. Our nation of laws, not men, and our system of constitutional checks and balances will not work if powerful men and women do not have the goodwill to honor those directions and values. Is everybody with me so far? Because reading is tedious. So, I don't care. So it's about being true. Be bored. I don't give a shit. I'm up here. I'm talking. You have to listen. You're in the light. There's no way that you can sneak out of here. So this isn't a theater presentation. This is a hostage situation. Okay. Matter of fact, because I did that, I'm going to go over the first line again. Our nation of laws, not men, and our system of constitutional checks and balances will not work if powerful men and women do not have the goodwill to honor those directions and values. Ultimately, what we face is not a matter of law or politics. It is a matter of civic culture. Our fate, our collective futures, lie in the consciences of powerful people. So what can we, the powerless, do? Our only chance is to appeal to the moral sense of the few with money and position, who decide what our collective future will be. Our words and deeds have to be the actions of free individuals and of a free people. Some of us will be called to decisive moments of courage and sacrifice. This is what revolution is. And I'm not kidding around with that word. It doesn't require armies. As a matter of fact, if you're an American, you're always in a state of revolution. That's what Thomas Jefferson said. We cannot give up on the idea of America. There's no ethnic requirement to be an American. We don't have to agree on anything. But Americans accept a shared value system. We cannot abandon those values no matter what pressures are put upon us by people with material power. Thank you for indulging me and listening to this, because I know it's not easy. We live in a time when patriotism must be expressed in dissent. Our only authorities now are our Constitution, our rule of law, and our history of ever-expanding inclusiveness and democracy. Our authorities are not the government and business officials of dubious legitimacy who have betrayed our common fealty to one of the most beautiful abstractions occasionally made real in the history of the world, America. That's what I think. And now I want to get to some jokes. So, takes a little. It always takes. When you put it when it dipped in honey, it's better than punching somebody with a boxing glove full of vinegar. All these things that we supposedly have to do, there's all these rules about everything that we have to do, but, fuck them. All right, here are great books about Trump. Since I'm a teacher, I said part of it I'm a teacher, these are your assignment for next time. Because you have to come back. And not only at the McKaw, wherever I am, you have to come. And if I'm having a passionate conversation in a coffee shop, you'll get an alert, and you have to get over it. The Reverend Moon has nothing on me. And that's a reference to like 1934. The Reverend Moon. Look it up. He was this Korean black. You know this guy? Now somebody's gonna, the whole thing, it's all very progressive. You said something about Koreans. No, please, leave me alone. He happened to be Korean. Gullible's Travels. These are the great books about Trump. Here are the titles. Gullible's Travels. It's a story of his recent trip abroad. Frankenstein. The book talks about his adventures backstage at the Miss Universe pageant. Withering Heights. That's a sex memoir by Melania. Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair. That's a clinical examination of his narcissism. The Scarlet Letter. That's the story of the Jim Comey memo that we're going to hear about. The Red Badge of Carnage. This is all about the making of the inaugural address. Did you hear that thing? I mean, I know it's a while ago, but I can't get it out of my mind. The carnage in America, the blood, the awful lives. Oh my God. Not exactly the rising lift of a flowering dream there. Heart of Darkness. Well, that's self-explanatory. The Call of the Wild. That's an analysis of Trump's irritable bowel syndrome. A related work, The Golden Bowl. That's an epic poem about Trump's toilet. The 39 Steps. That's the max limit on Trump's pedometer. Of Human Bondage. That's revelations from Trump's divorce from his first wife, Ivana. Babbitt 2. Sinclair Lewis's bourgeoisie protagonist, updated as a meth-addicted rural Trump voter. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. A confessional from Trump's barber. The Great Gatsby 2. A mysterious man of great means is never accepted by the establishment, so he blows up the world. As I Lay Dying. This is a discussion of Trump's health care plan. Tropic of Cancer. This is a great book. The discovery of a cancer cluster at Mar-a-Lago. I kind of like that one. The Big Sleep. That's Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross's story. You ever catch this guy?
No.
He looks like he just climbed out of the coffin in a wig. So, this is rich fucking idiots. By the way, if any of you are billionaires, fuck you. I'm really impressed. I'm glad you know. Congratulations for figuring out a way to exploit lots of people. All right. Oh, this is a good one. This is a wonderful book. Joy in the Morning. Trump wakes up and sees his penis and then has an extraordinary day. This is another sex one, so enjoy. Under the Volcano, Melania recalls a smothering night of love. 1984, an escapist fantasy about better days. The prime of Miss Jean Brodie. Trump recalls a particularly good pussy grab. Oh, sorry, what are you going to do? They can't all be winners. I gotta watch Johnny Carson on Antenna TV, so I get all these joke apologies on it. Well, put them on cards and throw them away. A Clockwork Orange. This is a collection of Trump's daily schedules. Money, a suicide note. This is just Trump's tax returns. Underworld, it's more pussy grabbing. Disgrace, the ultimate Trump biography. Moby Dick. Trump fantasizes about his penis. There's only half a page. Pudd'nhead Wilson, a fiction based on the life of Carter Page. Have you ever seen this guy? His former policy advisor from the campaign, who's up to his ass in collusion with the Russians? No, I might have talked to the ambassador, I don't know. Oh, maybe I saw him a couple minutes at the convention. Yes, I went to Russia and I gave him the address, but I don't remember. Maybe I did. I might have said hello to him once. I'm not sure. Okay, I did. No, I didn't. That's his testimony. The Sound and the Fury, that's a collection of tweets. Mumbo Jumbo, that's the Sean Spicer story. And of course, Beloved, which is Trump's ode to himself. Book 'em, Dano! Wouldn't that be great? Get a jumpsuit to match his hair. Okay. Geez, none of the other stuff is fun. I had something in here. Well, I'll get to it. There's another one where musicals that are based on Trump. We'll get to those later. Yeah, because, you know, on the third day you can contact your family. What do we have here? No, this isn't really. This doesn't work. I knew the librarian would leave as soon as I I did it for her, and she's gone. Okay. No, this one isn't good either. I might. No. I'm sorry about this, you know, because it's like, all right, here's jokes and comments. These are shorter things. I don't know, guys. You know, I have a lot of stuff here, but I don't feel, because I'm testing out material and everything, but I don't feel it's right to just keep trying out this material. So I am just going to, okay, I'll do a couple more things and that's it. Because you're a smaller group, so this should be a shorter time. But this is a poem that I wrote. So I'm going to tell you. That's like, so I read you a philosophical piece. I read some bad jokes, and now here's a bad poem. Now this is called the Brandenburg Gate. Anybody familiar with the Brandenburg Gate? The Brandenburg Gate is in Berlin. And the Berlin Wall, it has a history beyond when the Berlin Wall went up after World War II. It's a history that I don't know. But it has a great history since the Berlin Wall went up. It's where the Berlin Wall went up, and it's where it came down. So it's a very famous symbol. It's funny, it's a symbol of both oppression and freedom. And President Obama recently, that's when we had a legitimate president. We actually had a president, and not like Tony Soprano in the White House. So he went there. He was there with Angela Merkel, president, who was prime minister, premier, whatever, of Germany, the head person in Germany. So I wrote this poem, "The Brandenburg Gate." Could anyone please tell me what the title of this poem is?
The Brandenburg Gate.
Thank you very much. Good class. Obama and Merkel at the Brandenburg Gate. German and American at the Brandenburg Gate. Scientist and writer at the Brandenburg Gate. A girl separated from her grandmother by the Cold War at the Brandenburg Gate. A girl born for 10 years after the fall of the Third Reich at the Brandenburg Gate. A mixed-race boy whose lifespan just about parallels the modern American civil rights movement at the Brandenburg Gate. Girl and boy who triumphed over and far beyond oppression. Blessed with high intelligence and possessed of high character. Natural endowments and free will. Talking, reflecting, sharing, thinking. Democracy versus autocracy. The better angels of our nature. That's a quote from Lincoln. Love versus fear. Kindness versus cruelty. Discussed by speakers who know Hitler and Jim Crow, the Cold War and apartheid, red and blue America, and unification, our brief past and our long future, our long past and our brief future, at the place where the Berlin Wall rose and fell, the Brandenburg Gate. I went to Notre Dame. As a matter of fact, I've been honored at Notre Dame as the alumnus with least earnings over a lifetime. Graduating from Notre Dame. I'm very proud of Notre Dame. And they had, I guess, I get frustrated. Here's a little bit of the tension here, because obviously this show's in development, right? Just like I said, there's the Rick blog, which is written, and I invite you please to read that. www.richardstephenthomas.wordpress.com, or just go to the Rick blog. Put Rick blog UIC will get you there. Rick blog online and talking. Then on the Rick blog there are the podcasts, but it's also on iTunes, and it's called the Rick blog podcast. And then I do these theatrical shows. Now I'll tell you, I have a dream for the theatrical show, and that's I'm sorry. What do you need?
There's people outside.
Oh, are people here? Okay. So where was I? So I do the podcast, which is also available on iTunes, and it's called the Rick Block Podcast. And the dream that I have for this theatrical show, now what I'm doing is a quasi-like prepared thing and improvising off of it, right? As you guys can see, because we got a lot of improvisers here. Well, it's frustrating to me because I've noticed the stuff that I've written on my blog, basically there's two types of writing on it. Some of it is an invitation to improvising, and some of it is what I consider to be good writing. So I wrote this piece about Pence doing the commencement speech in Notre Dame. And I've written a lot about free speech, but I say basically, I'm not going to read the piece to you, but this is what's frustrating. what I'd like to have eventually is I'd like to have a director and maybe like teleprompter type setups around, because there's no way I could remember all this stuff, but then rehearse it. And part of it would be improvised, part of the show would be improvised in like a theatrical presentation and would be responsive to like current events. But then some of them would be like permanent pieces that we would do up there. And that's kind of my dream for this thing. But basically, I'll just improvise for you what I thought about Mike Pence and free speech. I believe in free speech completely, obviously, right? And I believe in unpopular speech, that it really shouldn't be censored. But I don't believe that people have to sponsor bad speech. So the University of Notre Dame, to have Mike Pence go in there, I mean, Mike Pence is a likely criminal. Mike Pence lied twice that I know of, just from watching TV. He said that Michael Flynn, he said he didn't know that Michael Flynn was being investigated by the FBI during the transition period before they appointed him National Security Advisor. He did know that. He knew all about it. And then he said that the reason why Trump fired Jim Comey was because Comey did a bad job with in his investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails, which was not true. The reason why Trump fired Jim Comey is because he was afraid about what Comey was finding, investigating all this collusion with Russia. So Mike Pence is a criminal, basically. It's not proven. He's not technically a criminal. He's not legally a criminal. Then also, Notre Dame is a Catholic institution, and Mike Pence is the big liaison to Congress for Trump's his legislative agenda. And that legislative agenda, I mean, I made it as a joke, but it's a joke with truth in it. Their health care, they don't want people to have health care. They want to get rid of Medicaid. Have you ever heard that thing that they did about the Holocaust and the Nazis, where they said first they came for the gays, and I wasn't gay, so I didn't do anything. Then they came for the gypsies. I wasn't a gypsy, I didn't do anything. And then they came for the Jews, I didn't do anything. And then finally they came for me. I wrote a variation of that for what we're going through now with our current Nazis. It's like, first they came for my Medicaid. And I didn't have Medicaid, so I didn't do anything. Then they came for the affordable health care, and I had health insurance, and I didn't do anything. Then they came for my Social Security, but I had a pension, and I didn't do anything. Then they came for my pension, and when I was sick and had nothing and was in the streets, they blamed me and they came for me. Now, I don't know if we have any Catholics here, but the Catholic Church has there's teachings of social justice. Everybody always focuses on all the sex stuff, which I can see is controversial. Social justice is like, the Catholic teachings on social justice are like a great progressive political platform. It's about dignity and work, and it's about the fact, you have one of these Republicans in Congress, one of Pence's buddies, he was asked, do you think everybody has a right to eat? He wouldn't give a straight answer. I don't care if you're the biggest, if you're the biggest fucking bum in the world, and you never worked a day in your life, and you didn't take care of yourself at all, and you're a fucking addict and a disappointment to everybody who ever knew you. If you're sick, you should be able to go to a hospital or a doctor or a dentist. If you're hungry, you should get food and a place to live. What is this bullshit? Capitalism and communism. Fuck both of them. How about decency? And Mike Pence is an indecent person. And I wrote this mock letter to the president of Notre Dame. And I basically said, you shouldn't have had Pence speak at the commencement. Here I am, I'm a writer and everything, and I say whatever I want to say. And I'm not saying shut up. Notre Dame should have standards. If somebody's not matching, if somebody doesn't have an intellectual or a moral standard, let him go stand in the quad and hand out leaflets. Like all the other crackpots. Or let her wander around the edges of campus like the criminals do around UIC. Let them loiter out there. That's what his right is. Just because somebody has a right to speak doesn't mean that people have to listen to him. Nobody leaves. Nobody leaves. Got it? See, you're so nice. You're such a nice group of people. Oh my God. You should give blood, and all the blood should be given a transfusion to the place that I was last week. It was in the western suburbs. You ever see the vacation movies?
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Randy Quaid in those vacation movies? These people, they made Randy Quaid look like Einstein. Okay. But that wasn't the problem. They were mean. Stupid's okay. Mean. Anyway, so I got after Father Jenkins. Well, you know, there's so much here. And I could be here, and basically what I would do is basically do a reading. And I'm not going to subject you to that on Saturday night. But I do want to find the musicals. So we can end with hilarity. Because, you know, when you spend your time thinking about the shit that I am, you're on the razor edge of funny. Let's see. Where the hell is it? God damn it. Excuse me. I swear I was. Especially on stage. Actually, honey, do I swear at home too? I swear all the time.
Me too.
You do too? We should have a swear jar.
You probably win all the money.
I would win all the money because you swear a lot? Well, you know, as long as you do it with heart. What's that?
You said it comes from the heart.
It comes from the heart. Mine do. Fucking A. Where is the I'm the happy minstrel of anarchy. Let's see here. The meek shall inherit. The meek shall inherit. You know, musicals about trouble. All right, here we go. Now you have. Does everybody have these? I don't want you to get in the cliff notes. You got to read those books about Trump. And next week we're going to discuss all of them. So it's going to be a much longer show. All right. Music goes about Trump. Of course, this isn't a musical, but the first one is a song from a music about Trump. It's got "Springtime for Trump." Okay. Most Happy Felon. You ever heard the musical Most Happy Fella? Oh boy, these are going to go over. Most Happy Felon. You see, fella, but he's a criminal. So. Tweet charity. It's a little bit better. 40. I'm getting better at the Carson, self-deprecating thing. It's practice. Thank you. Yeah, good. I feel it. I feel the support. Of course, you want to be sort of stingy with that because the longer you do that, the longer you stop. 42nd tweet. This one's with James Comey. Showboat. Trump called this guy a showboat. The straightest arrow in the world. Well, I don't know, the FBI would do that. And Trump, it's like, oh yeah, crap here, you know. Oh, you can do anything when you're rich. Here's one, American Idiot. Anything goes. Tweetlemania. Tweetlemania. Beatlemania. These are a lot of references. Anybody here born before 2011?
Slowly raise our hands.
Everybody? All right, everybody. All right. The Best Little Whore and His Taxes. Get that? The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. The Best Little Whore and His Taxes. Where's my drummer? Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, go ahead. This one you got to think about a little bit. Beyond the Fringe. This is a recent show. Bloody, Bloody Andrew Jackson. Because he loves Andrew Jackson. Of course, they have nothing in common. He says, oh, we're both populists. We're both of the people. Andrew Jackson, war hero. Trump, draft debater. Andrew Jackson won a huge popular majority. Trump lost by 3 million votes. Well, one's alike. They were both slave owners. But then, okay, there's an issue. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going with this. Darby O'Gill and the Twitter people. Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
No.
It was a movie. It was a Disney movie. Sean Connery was in it. I actually didn't see it. It was before I was born. It was a kinescope. 5 cents at a Nickelodeon. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Dr. Doolittle. Because he's a lazy piece of shit. He's not a doctor, but he doesn't do anything. That's a joke there. Doctor. He's not a doctor, but Doolittle. He does little. He just distraction. They say he's distracted from Russia. He's distracting from work. I wish I would have known some of his moves. Hair. You know, succinct. Somebody said to me, they were putting down the fact that I write long passages. So they said Ernest Hemingway was very concise. And I said Harold Bloom, famous literary critic, said that Ernest Hemingway was a first-rate stylist and a second-rate writer. And I stand with Harold Bloom, and I'm here today to tell you that I am a better writer than Ernest Hemingway, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I've been listening to too much Trump. Here's the story of our experience with the Trump administration. Les Miserables. How about this one? The Lying King. Get it? He never tells the truth. He's in charge. Little Shop of Horrors. Oh, but yes, I like it. It's an acknowledgement. There's a resonance. It's a resonance. It's a big extra moment there. I can tell everybody's thinking, I gotta take a leak. I gotta walk the dog. This is when you know that you're really up there on the tree. All right. Loserville, because he calls people losers. The Man Show. I'll pick up the pace. Male Menopause, the musical, because there's Menopause, the musical. Male, obviously, but he's way past male menopause. He's dead, the musical. Moulin Orange. The Music Man, except everybody dies in the last scene. The Mystery of Donald Drood. Passing Strange. Simple. Pinocchio. Pocahontas with Elizabeth Warren. Because he called her. Do you remember what he did?
What was it?
He called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas. because he accused her, actually Scott Brown accused her of lying on an application, I think to either go to Harvard or teach at Harvard. Anyway, look at it. Tweeter madness. Reefer madness. There's a lot of tweet jokes here. After a while, it's overkill. The Rocky Horror Show. 7 bribes for 7 brothers. Bless your beautiful eye. Shock treatment. Something rotten. The tweet smell of success. And old Frankenstein. You see how I brought it around? It was Frankenstein in the books. And it's old Frankenstein here. And enjoy it. It's always good to close with a musical number. Remember that, you young improvisers out there. And thank you very much for all your indulgence of me. I love you very much. So much that I'm just going to keep, now it's just neediness and narcissism. There's nothing left. All right, thank you. Good night, everybody.